What's up, everybody? This is Kaous Games. Today, I just want to talk about my experiences with Resident Evil Revelations. Let's give a little quick take on it. Yeah, it's a little late. I finished it up a while back, but it's been doing other stuff. But yeah, it's probably not news for anybody who owns a 3DS, but this is catered to the people who really didn't know much about the game until dropped on, PS3, 360, Wii U, whatever. So, assuming you never really heard much about the game before now, I'm just going to review it based on my experiences on the PS3. Now, the game, having after played Resident Evil 6, the way it plays, it really goes back to an older feel for Resident Evil. There's no rolls. You're not shooting from the ground. It's definitely there's the action elements, but it isn't as extreme. It's not like Resident Evil, the movie by Michael Bay, like Resident Evil 6 was. And it's there's no way to roll. They got a quick dodge system. If you tap, on PlayStation 3, it's X and a directional button at the same time. You might be able to dodge the attack. It comes in handy when you're in a tight space because, most of the game is a tight space. The corridors are tight. There's not really a lot of room to move around, so it gives that more constricted feel like the old Resident Evils used to have. You don't have a lot of ammunition to work with, so you got to be careful. You got to pick and choose your spots when you can run and when you should stay and fight. There were some elements that it felt, like a Resident Evil again. It felt like a survival horror game, like the tight corridors, the darkness, the lighting. Some cases, like when you get attacked by Rachel, her creepy musings in the vents. You hear her laughing creepily and talking, saying weird crap, and you're just like, okay, where's this bitch coming from? And then here she pops out the vent, that kind of stuff. I mean, it brought some good stuff back from the original. Some of the feelings back from the original Resident Evil series, like 1 through 3 and maybe 4. Well, I really didn't find 4 that scary. So I'm not going to compare it to 4 because 4 was still a much better game, and they really haven't been able to recapture what they pulled off in 4 since. And Resident Evil Revelations is no exception. But if I was to compare it on the basis of what it was, a handheld game, it's pretty impressive for what it is. This is just a port from a handheld game. It was surprisingly lengthy for a handheld game. It was about 12 chapters, and it took about a full sitting, about almost like a full 12 hours or so to complete. It's fairly decent sized. The story is pretty interesting. They have some interesting concepts. It takes place back in 2004. I guess in some alternate Resident Evil universe when things were ridiculously advanced. So in the Resident Evil universe, things are ridiculously advanced in 2004. So, you had this, the premise is basically, it's going back to a terrorist organization called Veltro. And they were responsible for the destruction of the man-made island city of Terra Gracia, which is pretty cool because the island was powered by solar power. Completely powered by solar power. That's something that I feel like, a side note, the government should try to pull that off because was pretty badass actually. But ultimately, Veltro released the T Abyss virus on the city, and they pulled a Raccoon City and nuked that mother. What really happened? But they didn't nuke it with a nuke. They nuked it with the solar satellite. So they shot a massive solar beam down on the city, which was crazy, which is pretty cool. It's like a giant death ray from the sun, almost. That was pretty cool. So like I said, the story is pretty cool. I can see where they got that jump around idea in the story from Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil 6, I can see where Resident Evil 6 got that for because this came out before Resident Evil 6. This is like the prototype for the story style storytelling they used in Resident Evil 6. It's one continuous campaign, but you jump around from different sets of characters every now and then. You have to really piece it together yourself of what point in time is this going on. Because sometimes it's not completely clear. You really have to stay on the ball, or you're like, okay, the story just lost me. So if you're just haphazardly playing the game, which since the game is basically a simple point and shoot kind of mechanic, there's not really much, to it. Just have a gun, shoot enemies, and strafe left, right, and back, forward. It's very simple. There's no sprint buttons. It's not the most engaging. It definitely doesn't have the action feel like Resident Evil 6 did. So if you like action third-person shooter games and you like Resident Evil 6, you might not like how they reverted more so to the survival horror style in this one, because it's a lot simpler. You got your quick turn, and you can, like I said, you can dodge a little bit with the right place button command every now and then, but it's nowhere near as action oriented as Resident Evil 6. So don't expect that. But the story, like I said, jumps around, so you gotta keep up. It's not like Resident Evil 6 though, where you got different sets of characters and you had different campaigns. You got the 4 different campaigns, including Ada Wong, and they don't intersect. It's all, you just gotta piece it together. So, but the story itself was pretty entertaining once it got into the thick of it. Once things start to unveil, it starts off slow and confusing. You're like, what the heck does happen? But then it makes sense later if you keep up. Ultimately, though, I'm not going to sit there and beat around the bush any longer. The game, is it worth you buying? Now, if you have a 3DS and you get it in its original form, it is. Because for a handheld, the way the game is set up on a handheld, it is. It probably is worth buying on a 3DS. I would say that. But unless you're really interested in the campaign, you just like collecting Resident Evil games, and maybe you want to play the raid mode. They have a raid mode, which is basically, you basically reuse maps from the actual game. You can team up with somebody online and accomplish a simple objective: kill all the enemies, try not to take any damage, and get to the objective in least amount of time as you can. And that's really all there is to it. So the raids might be entertaining to you too. So it might be, if you're interested in that, you might want to buy it. But really, at least on the PSN, I really have to say that I couldn't really find anybody when I tried to team up with somebody to play the game online. I was never able to link up anyway. So it doesn't seem like the community is so huge, at least on the PSN, or at least big enough to where there's always people to play with. Maybe it might be different on 360. I don't have it on that. But based on my experience, I would say if you're not a big multiplayer guy and, you really aren't looking to play a handheld port, because that's what it is. It's a handheld port. It's impressive at that still, but I would say rent this game or maybe buy it used at a discount. But I wouldn't buy it new. That's for sure. It's really not all that worth it to buy new. But it was good enough, I guess, not entertaining to keep my distance or my interest for long. I beat it and then I tried to play a few of the raids, and then I was trying to hook up with somebody online, couldn't, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go play Psychopath Borderlands. Let's just play some more Psycho. Do that. And now I'm just messing around, waiting for Last of Us to come out. Once that drops, I'll probably be into that pretty heavy. I hope it's good. It looks good. Looks engaging. And then really that will be a drought for me after that for a game. I might have to go back and play some games I've been wanting to play. I might get in some Metro Last Light. But before that, I probably trying to go back and play some Ni no Kuni. I've seen some gameplay footage. It goes back to the old school art JRPG style of things with the miniature characters on the world map, which I love that. Back when Dragon Quest VIII was the last game I played that had that. So I might go back and play Ni no Kuni, give it that a go around, because I haven't jumped on that yet, and I regret it, but just haven't had the time to really get into it. But I I want to. So we'll see what happens. I might get into that, but Last of Us will be definitely the next thing I get on. So until next time, this has been Kaous Games. Gamers Game On.